time or what?
Oh, no.
Oh,
And then good at the cemetery?
Huh?
Cemetery's good?
Yeah.
I did, I drove by, I don't have any.
Are you all sleeping now?
Around by the,
that's what Ed said.
yeah, further up, they're not like in the
Right.
Well,
part in the front, not the memorial trees.
well,
Oh, this is,
that's it, that's,
that the whole, or this is the only one?
the ones you sign are on the top, and then there's police department, and there's
Pretty
everybody.
good.
Is this for hours work or for the registry?
Oh, yeah.
It should not be for the registry, because registry is stipend.
Try to keep up on politics.
Yeah, it's a flat stipend, so. That's okay.
No, I can, thank
So,
you.
so
Yes,
she
thank
puts
you.
that on
I
there
just need to
because
go
I
home.
reimburse her for the stipend
It's going
via
on.
payroll, except she really liked for the
Wise
mileage to be
decision.
on a separate, different check.
All right.
That's why, that's.
You didn't think I was gonna make it, did you?
Good, how about you?
Yeah, the incorrect on 2 months.
Good day.
Should we smile and take pictures
There's
with
no
your camera?
public at the end.
Good, so now, here, you sign everything.
Well, I mean, if you can smile, I mean, we can do something here. Is Ed coming?
He said he was going to be on that. Because he was tied up.
I try to make it so.
I don't know if he's at work.
And then
Okay.
after that, you can look through whatever.
Okay.
You don't have to sign
It's
it.
been working crazy hours ever since I met the guy. That was like, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
What's that?
My own reference.
Pico or anywhere.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah.
that was just, that's looking, it's down to the river.
Notes about how much we're paying people. And it's just
Yeah.
my record,
Yeah.
what I told them.
Oh, you're doing it now, never mind. I thought you had one, it wasn't in here.
What's that?
It's,
Oh, it's in my hand.
trying to get down farther.
No, that's a good point.
I'll
Oh,
take that.
Okay, there you
I'll take
go.
that from the folder. All right, 6:30, folks, we're gonna get started. Put this piece of paperwork along. All right, it's 6:30, so we will.
Yes.
Call to order the June 24th meeting of the Rollinsford Select Board. First order of business is the approval of minutes of June 17th. Folks have a chance to take a look at it?
I did,
That, Norma?
okay.
Were there any changes?
No.
Okay. In consensus, we will approve them. Next is community input. We have a number of folks here who'd like to come up first.
We have two gentlemen from Camp Raleigh that would like to petition the board to have their children walk.
Sure, come on up and fill out I'll sign your form for you. Unless there's some sort of objection from the board.
Well, we need to know how far it is, because we do have rules and regulations of, have you looked at it, Celia?
I have not talked to Mr. Frost, but Mr. Connor, Mr. Lentz, I talked to his wife earlier, and to his son. They have a plan worked out. Their son comes in, he texts his dad to let dad know that he's there, and then he leaves at a certain time. I have an email from mom that went to the camp about their plan, and he texts dad when he gets home too, and we asked him to text the camp when he gets home to make sure that he doesn't get lost and he made it safe.
We can see the school
It's
from our house.
one, it's like one street is the other.
We're on
Sure,
Prospect Street, you
yeah,
can
okay.
see the school through the
Then
woods,
I
yeah.
would- I would go for that.
And
Thank
so,
And I circled both just because he may walk, he may bike.
Okay,
It says circle one, which,
no,
but he's
And
gonna do
All right.
Can't follow the rules.
I have not spoken to Mr. Foss, like I said, but I do know they're both upper elementary school, 5th grade and up.
Yep, mine's going into 7th grade. We live 654, just across the street here. Same thing, he's gonna be texting me.
on what street?
Main Street.
Okay, so would,
And-
there's sidewalks to and from wherever he needs, or
Yep,
she needs to go.
yep,
And we have several teen campers of the same age that have signed the waiver that are walking, that are their peers, just their parents have chosen a different program for them.
yeah, unfortunately, my son fell a year
Wrong
behind.
year.
Yeah, because we started him in school early, so.
Okay.
And this is something that the committee's going to review for future, maybe changing with approval from the board, that any kid going from 6th grade up may be able to walk, but it'll of course need your approval before it goes into effect.
Okay, so
I'm okay with both of them.
No objection.
I would suggest that, do they get these back, or do we keep them?
We can,
Well,
they can have a copy, but we
The
need a
camp would
copy.
like a copy
Yeah.
to have on
I will
file.
copy them, yes.
I would think in the future, Celia, the policy probably should, and it'll have to be approved by the select board, of course, but if the parents say it's okay, not my business, if Mr. Foss and Mr. Lentz want to have their kids walk to and from camp. But the problem was before kids just came and went as they pleased. And you guys are doing fine.
That's the problem, you have to
This-
do
this
the
was
whole and then have the exceptions come back.
yeah,
Right,
he's
that's fine.
he's on the no pre and no post,
Mhm.
so he's there from 9 to 4.
Yeah.
And I'm at work at 7 and home sometime, hopefully before 6, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, we don't wanna have the responsibility of children walking home.
No, I get that. And kids used to, in the old days, used to just come and go and
Yeah.
get pleased. There wasn't
Mhm.
really a lot of accountability with it,
Right.
which the
Lot
board didn't
more
like either.
Yeah.
Maybe we've gone a little too far. We don't need to, if the parents, well, you guys are all set. They're gonna make a copy, so you're all set. Sorry to come down.
Thank
We don't
you.
need a copy or anything.
I'm gonna take back to the camp, so it's on file there.
Oh, you're okay then. All right, have a good
And
night.
then Connor said something about you had some rule thing
Yeah,
today.
tuck you out there.
Gentlemen?
So where are you moving so that we can continue our, our rotten tomato and egg throwing program? I mean,
To the lovely little community of Hopkins.
okay,
10 minutes from my office, so I don't have to drive over an hour.
you go ahead, you're the.
Come on up, just come on up. We'll have a
No, we were
conversation.
we just came in to see what the plan was on the trees.
The trees, so did you guys have a chance to go down and take a look at the ones that are marked? So the big concern originally, at least for me, and I know Ed as well,
Yeah.
we thought it might be some of the memorial trees
Right.
and further up, but that's not the case, so I don't think it's ecstatic that they have to cut down trees, but if they don't do it, then my understanding is they're not gonna be able to make the repairs to the dam, which means that they won't go forward with relicensure, which means
So that's,
that,
Well,
right?
but further, that it's something that we apparently should have already
Already
always
done?
known, that we are never allowed to have trees within 15 feet of, I guess, the dam, not like the whole, like, I'm not sure from what extent from the dam, how many feet this way and that way, but at least 15 feet of the shoreline around the dam. I'm still trying to get clarification from that, but we have to be careful where we put trees down there.
So either way, we're probably not in compliance with state law for where the trees have been planted. And furthermore though, if they can't get it relicensed, then we may potentially, we're not gonna have it relicensed. The town's not gonna afford to pay for the relicensure. And we're gonna lose out on, what is it, 35 grand a year in income that we depend on.
Or more, and
Or
they
more,
owe the
that's a good
professional
year.
services
So-
already encumbered by the.
I think the trees are gonna have to come down, so.
We, as the well, I'm speaking as an ex-historical committee person.
Sure.
Could they confirm those distances? There's a big beach that's right next to the fence that I, for one, don't understand why it needs to come down.
Okay, sure. We can ask them to confirm the distance.
Nobody, who said something about a fence? Where did you hear about a fence?
Well, that's where, you want to see it? Yeah,
Have
the ribbons are tied around trees on the river side of the fence, as opposed to the park side of the fence. There's a wrought iron
Right,
fence there.
okay. But did I misunderstand you that you think that they're removing the fence itself?
No,
Okay.
Just the trees.
Okay.
just the trees, the tree adjacent to the fence.
Yeah, that was my only concern too, was that big one. It was one about 2 feet in diameter, right next to the fence. And, you know,
If it doesn't need to come down, if there's a question where people are juggling and it really doesn't need, can they, you know, make a
Yes.
table
We can
exception or
certainly ask
something
them.
like that?
Yes, I'm waiting for a call back from the Dam Bureau. I've left a message with them.
I like that.
They have an information sheet about trees and dams, but there's nothing that says explicitly what the rules are. They're more like recommendations. So I'm trying to get clarity about what exactly the absolutes are.
Yes.
And there are also trees, my understanding was that are in the railroad right of way that aren't
Right.
allowed also.
So-
Some of those have ribbons around them, so.
yeah,
And
there's
so-
some right up against the abutment of the bridge.
And the railroad is supposed to be taking care of that and maintaining that, but we know that they don't always do that.
Well, who's gonna take, where's the expense coming from taking these trees down? On us or on them?
The entire expense of everything related to the relicensure is with Green Mountain Power, who leases the hydro plant in the
Okay.
town.
Okay.
They've handled all
So
of
that's
it.
not any of our
We're
expense.
not incurring any
and
expense with any of this.
Railroad will send a bill if we get billed for it,
Well, they should send,
Well, they should
have-
they send the
yeah.
bill to the railroad.
but, yeah.
Either
yeah,
way, they're
correct,
managing
okay.
it outside of us.
All right.
Yes.
So is the reason why the trees have to come down is because if they, for some reason, bad storm or high waters and stuff and they fall, it will damage the dam? Is that the reason?
So that's
Root
part of it, I
structure.
think, because there are those, they're going to be replacing the boards that go on top of the dam. And if trees fall in the water, you know, trees can crash over the dam and break the boards.
Yeah.
But they also want trees cleared so that dams have enough light, I think, just to make sure ice clears as quickly as possible. I'm not really sure. But there's also the added risk of tree roots penetrating penstock.
Yeah. I was gonna ask
So
about that,
that's-
but just answer the question. Because, you know, trees upriver can, I realize that there's a grate around there, but I assume if things break off, it might be able to get through the grate and get into the penstock.
Maybe. This wasn't certainly a project that we went looking for, let's just say that, so.
Yeah, and,
But we appreciate everyone's concern, so I
Right.
mean, it's good that the questions were asked, because,
Yeah, well, Ed mentioned it to me and.
yeah, no, it's,
I mean, I heard, I was listening carefully, that there may be some ambiguity in the rules. So if there are any absolutes, and we can, we can save that beach at least next to the fence, that would be good.
I teach by the wrought iron fence.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any question,
Okay.
that they're,
We can ask.
if they're winging it in any way.
Well, I'm guessing the engineers are probably not winging it, but we can check.
You mean the engineers on the railroad or?
No, definitely
I
not the
missed that.
railroad.
Okay.
Definitely not the railroad.
There are engineers that are managing the repair.
I was trying to make a funny and did not succeed.
I'm sorry, Nelson, I'm entirely
I
too
gave you a
literal.
smile. Nelson.
Yeah, it was more like a grimace, but, you know.
Well, speak to the quality of the gym.
All right, well, thanks a lot.
Did you
Thank
get
you,
these
Dan.
gentlemen's names?
I got Nelson, I just need your
I'm
name.
Mark.
Mark Lucia,
Oh.
sorry.
No,
I
it's
I don't make light of it, I do appreciate you coming down.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
were all concerned about it as well.
Right.
And the story kept changing, so
yeah,
I think we have it clear now,
Okay.
right?
yeah.
We're-
It's not clear what the radius from the dam is and how much is
Okay.
discretionary or
But the
absolute.
reasons why
But the
now.
reasons
yeah.
why, I think
Yeah,
are pretty
okay.
clear.
We're clear on that now.
Right.
We weren't so clear last week,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I never thought of that root thing.
None of us did that.
Could be a big factor.
We were all,
Yeah.
but the real thing, we thought it was further, the markers hadn't gone up yet, so we thought it was some of the
Right.
memorial trees
The
up against by the
memorial.
fence, and we were concerned about that, but those aren't gonna be touched, so.
Thank you.
Anyways, thank you guys.
Thank
Was there any other public comment before we move on to department head business? Seeing none, we have the police chief is here.
My wife will- my wife is upset.
It's not in different order. It's in the
Not
same,
now, okay.
no, it's in the same order. It's
You
Well,
gotta be careful.
Anyways.
This is the next step.
Come on, chief, we're ready for you when you want. Do we have we don't have a non-public,
No.
personnel, right? Perfect. Good evening.
Good evening. On the 14th, we had to call an overhead door, the spring and cabling for the door on the sally port snapped. So they came and repaired it the same day. They sent an invoice for $363.50, and that will come out of the town hall maintenance.
Let's move it, I have a couple questions.
All right, I'll move purchase order 1689 to Overhead Door Company for $363.50 for a service calls for repair broken cable.
Second.
Is the police department's under the maintenance agreement that,
Yeah, with Haley Door.
it was Haley, is not overhead door? Is there a reason we went with overhead instead of Haley?
Well,
Do they not?
well, we were not aware of the fact that the service contract extended to us. We were not aware of the fact that they came in and did an inspection. They alleged they did.
Gotcha.
George called them last week. They said
Yeah.
they put a sticker on the door. I checked the doors and we had no stickers in the doors. And we've always used overhead in the past, so that's why we called them.
Well, clearly overhead needs to get paid for they perform the service. But can we follow up and find out about Haley?
And why there was no stickers?
Right.
Did they do
They're
it?
claiming they came down and did
Sticker
the
on.
inspection. Even if they'd done the inspection, a cable
Yeah, they would.
can snap. I mean, that can happen. That's fair enough. But if they're claiming they did,
How did they get in the police station without it? I mean, how could they have to get one of you guys in there to let them in,
Correct.
so clearly that didn't happen.
Again, I don't know because
Well,
my sub-lieutenant and the sergeant don't recall Haley coming in. Yeah, he did something to my back over the weekend.
she's joined the
So
club, I
every
see.
now and then when I turn the right way, it
The number of
Like
walking
Caesar's.
wounded is
I don't call it the right way.
so.
All right, so maybe we could try to get to the bottom of why Haley's claiming they did this and didn't put their sticker up.
and what buildings did they do?
Right.
Yes, could we send that her way to make sure that she's
Of
got
course.
everything she needs?
You got it. So purchase order,
Okay.
do we have any other discussion on the purchase order? All right, so purchase order 1689 has been moved and seconded. We're ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I'll sign it when you're done. Trish, I thank you also for filling in this evening.
Oh, of course.
All right. Whatever, we can go now.
Okay, Townsend Energy sent us the invoices for the annual service contracts for 4 of the HVAC units and the heating system. Normally it's 5 HVAC units and 1 heating system, but we have the new unit still under warranty. So the grand total minus the 1 unit is $1,464. And I guess, assuming that would come out of the town hall maintenance line item as well.
Make a motion to accept purchase order 1688 to Townsend Energy for the annual service contract for the 4 AC units and 1 heating system.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
What exactly does that cover? Do we know?
You get a discount on the parts,
Okay.
and they do an annual checkup of all the units.
So it's just a discount, it's not a replacement.
No, it's not a replacement.
Preventative maintenance.
Doing the preventive maintenance, like the cleaning and stuff, that's part of it, right? Or do we get billed for that as well?
They change the filters, and they look at the units, but they, no serious maintenance. That's above and beyond.
Okay.
We have a separate call for cleaning out the boiler every year. It's on hand under this. All right. Any other questions?
I guess I would question if this is really worth it. $1,464.
For the inspection of the,
Well, if we're not getting this, the annual service, we still have to pay for that, right? An annual service. And if we're gonna replace the boiler, which would then be under warranty,
Not annual service, wouldn't be under warranty, I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't
The
pay.
annual cleaning is part of the service.
oh,
program,
okay,
yes.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm good.
we okay? Okay. Let you all come to your conclusion on your argument, so. All right, so purchase order 1688's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. I'll let you have this, you can, see what we've been talking about.
Go on.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Oh.
Okay, well, we probably shouldn't see that person
Oh.
taking the notes has to,
Oh, true.
has to concentrate
Sorry.
on that.
I don't want to
so.
confuse you.
Right.
To make sense.
Mhm.
Generator Connection has sent their 2-year preventative maintenance agreement for the generator. $630, and again, that will come out of the town hall maintenance.
I'll move purchase order 1687 to generator connection for $630 for a 2-year maintenance agreement.
Second.
It's that time of year. Do all the contracts. Okay, is there any discussion of purchase order 1687?
I'm wondering, Bob, if you've decided where this goes on the CIP? Because I think you said that it's past its,
It's past its prime.
The generator itself?
yes. So is that on,
Well, I don't know where it sits at this point, because originally it was going to be part of the, either we renovate this building or we get the heck out of here type of thing. Since that's up in limbo land this time, I think that we probably have to sit down and find out, and have a conversation between us or whatever, and say, what's the long-term plan for this building? And do we add to the CIP, or do we just wait and see what happens?
so, the facilities director from the school and Tom Clark are meeting here tomorrow to do what they can to assess the building.
Okay. Talk about it on the next Monday.
Should we just go with a 1 year? I'm asking you, Bob. Should we just do a 1 year annual?
I don't know.
Well, then,
Assuming something happens in the positive, next year, you're still talking, you're in this building for another year after that anyway.
Right, I think,
well,
I think
that's
so. I
true.
think 2 years is safe.
That's true, that's true, okay. No, just go for it.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We'll sign the contract.
Oh, sorry.
I have a Form B here for the police academy to indicate to the academy that on June 3rd, Officer Hancock was promoted to sergeant, and his signature of the hiring authority. Sorry, I couldn't get it before.
So you have to notify him of any kind of promotion?
Promotion, demotion, suspension, all that stuff.
I'll wait till you see what else you're gonna cover, we may actually want to know.
You signed where it says title.
And I have my glasses on.
I guess if you're supposed to put on the top,
I will.
the chair of the select board.
With my glasses, I couldn't see the line. Sorry about that.
That's all Speaking of the academy, 2 officers went to the academy today, and they passed the physical agility test with flying colors. So they're immediately both placed on 4 days this week, which will show it on, we'll start having a decrease in overtime, as well as use of part-time is effective immediately, so we're very happy about that.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you send our congratulations.
Will do. Last week, one of the officers was bit by a dog. Had to go to the emergency room, had some stitches. We're planning on sending the owner a bill for any out-of-pocket expenses on behalf of the town and the officer. He did have to go to Rite Aid, and he spent $96.91, and I'll give Caroline a copy for tomorrow for his reimbursement. But I imagine workman's comp or whoever, if they deem that they want to go after the homeowner, I mean, that's up to them. I mean, we don't do that.
Right.
The other folks, but any direct out-of-pocket expenses paid to the town or the officer will send them a bill.
This is reasonable. He's okay though?
Yeah, he's okay.
Good.
You know, at this point, we don't plan on having the dog deemed a menace at this point, so.
Right. Hasn't been any other issues?
No, not that worry. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 untimelies in town. We've had a suicide, an overdose, and then we had an infant that was an accidental. So just make you aware of that.
Yeah, there was something we wanted to talk about that. Is that something we can do publicly or should?
That's non-public later.
Okay, we are gonna go non-public, sorry about that.
The state has notified us that effective July 1st, they are no longer going to be paying witness fees for courts, for witnesses and police officers.
Okay.
So that means that when we send a police officer to testify for a case, now we will have to pay them directly as opposed to seeking reimbursement from the state. So if you have any contact with any legislatures, you might want to complain to them because they failed to put it in the budget. Fortunately, we have a line item for witness fees.
Right.
So, we have applied for, and I'll just show you this, we have applied for a prescription safe deposit box here at the PD where people can walk in and anonymously drop off their prescriptions in the box there. It doesn't cost us anything, they'll come and deliver it, and we just have to install it in the lobby. The last time we did a DEA drug, I think we had 34 pounds of stuff that went.
Now, where will it be?
It'll be in the lobby of the police
With
department.
the police department,
Yes.
so someone has to be there to let them in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then someone comes and gets the stuff, or do you have to?
No,
do
we
it?
empty it when we have the DEA drug take back events. So
Oh,
every
okay.
6 months, so we'd empty it,
Yeah.
and then it all gets sent, shipped to the DEA for disposal. I guess you folks want to talk about the range.
We do, but before we go there, we talked about this box that's sitting over there. The front office, the tax collector and town clerk would like to have that put out somewhere. Is it outside or here? It must be outside, right? So people
It's outside
deposit-
so that they can access, they can have the ability to pay for things when the office isn't open. So one of the things noted was that the outside camera would cover it, but I'm not sure if we can install it in a place where the outside camera would cover it. I think we've had that
You want to
conversation
have that on
before.
the wall close by the door, and the camera doesn't cover that area.
Well, that answers the questions for me. Thank you.
So it would have to be like on the door for the safety?
On the wall,
Yeah.
I would think, unless you want to put it in a post.
Yeah.
Or you can attach it to the
But
brick.
you
or
want to
something.
secure it, you know, so if people putting money or checks on it
Right.
or whatever, you want to secure it to the building. You know, it's not necessarily that we can't add a camera facing the door from the outside, directly in that box.
Oh, I thought that's where I thought the camera did face the door. The camera faces
It faces out.
the wall.
Yeah, it faces out, down the steps and out in front of the building.
Well, we can talk about it some more than an hour, but Yes, the gun range. That's what I put that for. In fact, one of the gentlemen that had come in and complained about it I was here earlier, so I wish we brought it up then. But we've had a number of
Well, I
folks
guess,
with some concerns about
was it a complaint or was
noise.
it an inquiry? You know?
No, complaints about noise in uptick in use.
Mostly weekends.
Mostly on the weekends, yeah, that's what they were complaining about. So I don't know, are we training our folks on the weekends there, or is it the county that's going there and other departments? They're using-
We've been out there on the weekend, but we did have one person from the sheriff's department out there. I think probably, it was just before the complaint from,
Well, there was the loud noise complaint, that's separate from,
That's
these
separate.
came in before that
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
They're mostly
And that
neighbors
was-
up on
that was on the
Summer Fork Road
Sunday.
here, I think, so.
We've since curtailed all use out there on Sundays. We've curtailed all use out there after 6 PM, unless it's low light conditions, and we're planning to do that in the fall when it actually gets darker earlier. So,
We reviewed, as I reviewed, I think we all got it, so I don't want to speak for anyone else, but when the previous select board approved expanding its use to other departments into the county, that hasn't, we haven't gone above and beyond that.
no, it's still us, it's still the SWAT team and the sheriff's department.
And at that time, you explained to us why you wanted to expand it to those other departments. Are those reasons still valid? You
Still valid, yes.
These two folks weren't sitting here
Sure.
when that was explained, so it might be helpful for all to hear it again. It doesn't mean we can't continue the conversation, but it'd be good if we all hear the conversation. If you don't mind explaining your reasoning why you thought it was a good idea to.
Well, obviously, the SWAT team, I got an officer that's on the SWAT team, and, it actually costs us less by having him here as opposed to sending him elsewhere to do this. The SWAT team that the Ranger SWAT team was using prior to us was up in Rochester, and it was adjacent to it was a housing complex, development, and whatnot, so the city basically shut them out of there. No, SWAT team uses it twice a month at the most. Usually one day they'll do shooting, one day they have classroom instruction. We're actually getting less use out of the range now, because up until a couple of years ago, we allowed the general public to use the range, and they were up there quite frequently. The only difference now is that, like when the SWAT team's there, they're there for 8 hours, and they're shooting probably 6 hours of the 8 hours. But those are weekdays during the daytime, it's not at nighttime, it's not on weekends. And we allowed the sheriff's department to come over because, Perkinson was a longtime employee of the department. He was a fire instructor up there, and they were looking for a place to go. So it was nice to keep, Perkinson and the sheriff's department in the loop and use over here.
Correct me if I'm misremembering, but at one time, the SWAT team wanted an assessment to be part of it, right? There was a fee to be part of the SWAT team, several $1,000 fee, if I recall correctly. Was that waived because we let them use the facility? Am I misremembering that?
No, well, originally they wanted 5,000.
Right,
Minimum
okay.
5,000, the larger department, they wanted more. Well, that got voted down by the chiefs.
Okay, all right,
So everyone pays $1,000 per year now
okay.
for their supplies, their ammo, their flashbangs, and their door smashers and
Right,
things like
right.
that. So, I do know the sergeant has been in conversation with the road agent, and there are plans before this fall to actually raise the berm all around the building, all around the range.
Okay.
So that should help with some of the noise.
Okay, all right. One of the other concerns that was raised was with the SWAT team, when they come in, it could be a little disconcerting to folks that are maybe showing up to the transfer station and they see several armored vehicles and that sort of thing. We had in the past been sending out an email to folks ahead of time, just a reminder, don't forget the SWAT team will be practicing. Have we stopped doing that, or? You may be sending it out, I just don't look at it because I know why you're sending it.
Well, no,
so.
because it's, they're there twice a month, and
Okay.
just asked here to do that. I mean, we can still do it, but
Right.
I thought we got to the point where people were getting used to seeing the vehicles in town on
Well-
Tuesdays.
a new crop of folks have told us that they're not,
Sure.
so
I mean, we can
that's why we're having
certainly,
a conversation.
yeah, we can certainly, I can certainly ask TF to start doing that
Is that good for folks? I mean,
every
I think
Tuesday
that-
now,
Yep.
feel free to, I mean, I don't want to monopolize the conversation, I just want to make sure we got out why it was sort of reciprocal. We were hoping we could get other things from other departments, and, you know, you all sort of share resources where you can, so that's why originally they said open days. But if we're limiting it on the weekends, I mean, I think that was the biggest complaint, so. But most of the complaints were coming from the Summersworth Road area, because they were hearing it, they're closer. So. Anyone else want to talk about the firing range? There are people that want us to tar and feather us for allowing anyone to use it, so and other people want to tar and feather us if we don't.
So, I mean, I
want to,
think you confirmed that there is no increased use. We're not a center for the lower half of the state or anything.
No.
I don't, you know, maybe was a seasonal thing where there weren't leaves on the trees. I mean, 6 hours of shooting sounds like a long time, but it kind of is.
But it's off and on, because they do drills and things like that. I mean, it's just not straight 6 hours, but over the course of an 8-hour day, I would think 6 of it is off and on.
Yeah.
I do know, about a month and a half ago, they had a regional like jamboree up there. But they didn't fire any, I mean, there were probably 40, 50 vehicles up there. But they didn't shoot off for the 2 days they were up there. They were doing tactics and maneuvers and things like that, so. I thought if anyone would complain, it'd be one of those days, because
It may have been
the transfer
one of those
station was actually open one of those days.
That may be one of the days that people are telling us about.
Yeah. But nobody called us to ask us, you know, what's going on,
Well, they just call it, complain to us,
whatever.
so that's how it goes. It's easier to complain to us, and then we'll ask you, and then we'll figure it out. But anything else we want to talk about with that? I know we need to go into non-public or something else.
I don't believe we need to go into non-public. It would be helpful under fire, though.
I'd like to have a conversation with both chiefs at the same time, so.
Can we, before we go into non-public, can I just, can we talk about space needs?
Sure.
Please, go right ahead.
Has the letter gone out?
It
As
went
you
out
know,
today, so it's probably not hit the news
Okay.
blog yet.
Okay, so as you're aware, it's just you and me left on the committee, everyone's left, so. So we have put out a request to have 4 individuals, is that right? Did we say 4 with no alternates?
Yes, 4
Okay.
with no alternates is what the charge says.
Yeah.
I did not put in the announcement itself how many people we're looking for,
You're
but just that we're looking for people.
Okay,
And then I attached the charge so that people can read more about it if they're interested.
so as soon as we get that information about, we'll have our first meeting, or
Okay.
start up again, okay? All right. Okay, so I'm done.
Okay, so what reason are we going, to say we're going into non-public for? Or is that under personnel? maybe?
It was personnel under fire.
Is it a separate issue than what I'm thinking about?
No, and I'm not sure that, I think it's still personnel. Although you could probably classify it as something else also, but,
Reputational issues or whatever, I don't want to.
right, but I think it still qualifies as personnel.
All right, so I need a motion to go into non-public session to deal with a personnel issue.
Are we doing fire and police, or we
I'd
just
like
doing
them both
fire?
to stay at the same time, so
Oh,
it might be easier to have a conversation with both of them than make them both
Okay.
come in and out, have it separately.
Okay, I'll second it. I'll make a motion that we go into non-public
Perfect.
for personnel.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded, a roll call, Denise?
Yes?
Miles?
Yes.
Mike, yes, we're gonna go to non-public session for a personnel issue. Chief Rutherford, would you mind coming up and joining us, please? And you have to leave, I'm sorry.
Oh, I
You have to
actually,
turn the
yes,
camera
yeah.
off.
Oh, no, the
Please.
camera, and you have to leave, and we'll come and get you afterwards, okay? Me take any kind of notes that we need to do.
You get the rest
for
of
you.
it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Whenever that day comes out, I might be this week.
There we go.
But we are involved, so
Okay.
we'll be tied up for a day. But I want everybody here to know, he was 3 chiefs ago, but he was in there a long,
Yeah.
long time.
He was in there a long time, but if we can go back and look at the annual report, I'm sure that will tell us And then Harry took over after he did,
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
he resigned or retired. So, if we find out the first year that Harry was elected, that would be the year he retired, Brownie.
So you'll let Caroline
I
know
will
when it
pass
happens,
on
so
to
that the
the
board can be represented.
I will definitely do. Because I can try to round up enough.
If
It's all a
possible.
timing issue.
Of course.
With us trying to find enough people, because we want pallbearers and I gotta find enough people that can commit it.
Is it
Very
gonna
short
be-
notice, which is
It's gonna be at
difficult.
St. Mary's.
Where the services, I don't know, but the taskers is handling all the services and stuff. I haven't heard anything more than that.
Okey-dokey.
Okay, we have one, just wanted everybody to be aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anything else we have for the chief this evening?
Mark, did you get an answer on CPR and first aid for rec? For the remaining
Sean was
three?
looking to try to find a night to do it.
Okay,
He's up at the station now, they're actually over doing some vehicle extrication training, I will get him up again. His
okay.
weekends weren't.
No, during the
available.
week, whatever is,
And I said a night would work, he was gonna talk to
Absolutely.
Tia, and they were gonna try to take care of that.
yeah,
I'll ask him again.
Okay.
I heard it back when I asked him last week, but,
okay.
you know, the holiday, and it's becoming a little bit more
Yeah.
difficult, so
Yeah,
we'll try to accommodate.
do whatever we can, and for them, we can go to another location if we have to. But I think there's only three.
Just the three, yeah,
I
right.
believe that's the
Yeah,
case,
I know,
so,
we questioned the day of it, so we knew this would probably come down the
Yeah.
road, so
thank you.
hopefully we can get it all to meet and try to get it done.
They have a plan until they can get that, but they're not gonna be the point of contact, the first aid there, because they have many of them, so that's at this point the plan. They're still hired, but,
Okay, just gotta finish that so they can fulfill the whole job description.
correct.
And I will let you know what.
And if you would alert Sean that if he has capacity and it's okay, I don't know how many other town employees might partake, but if he's open to that, we could potentially open it up to other people who are expiring that missed the last round of renewals.
All right, I will try to find time, let them know, another 5, 6. The other issue with it is, we used to be able to get the cards for $5. Well, now, through American Heart is also tied in, we have to get the cards through McGregor. And now they're $20 a whack.
Why?
Very
So McGregor is making money off of,
They're not doing the program.
Yep, and there's very few programs out there anymore because there's very few people that have gone and got their instructor to be able to teach the program.
the only way to get the cards is through McGregor?
Right now, it's the only access that we have. York Ambulance has no instructors, we've reached out to them, they have nobody that can run the program. We used to do it directly through American Heart, now it's through Frisbee Hospital, we used to get them, like I said, $5. They don't do it anymore.
I mean, we have certified instructors that do the work. You're just talking about physically getting the cards from someone, so we can issue them to the people you're training.
Right, once they pass, all the paperwork goes in there and then they'll issue the card.
But you can't get it directly through American Heart.
Oh, McGregor gets them from the Heart Association.
Yeah, and they're like a sole proprietor for it now. However, they managed to get through that hoop, I don't know, but that's the other issue we had to run into with some of this stuff is Sean paid for some of the stuff, and we gave him reimbursed, but this is something that's going to continue, and which have to charge people.
Yep.
Right, the only way we can really do it is they
As long as we know, we can put that in our budget for sure, so we'll definitely take care of that.
That just,
That's
you know,
next
popped up last time when we
Yep.
did it, and Sean told me I had to pay for them. And it was part of streamlining the process so we get it done and get the program up and running.
Right.
So he just did it, but as we move forward,
Oh,
that's just another hurdle.
We need to have a plan for next year.
We'll have a plan for that, for sure, next year. We'll take care of it.
Anything else for the chief? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Mark, let me know if you got a pocket with anything.
Is the highway,
I'll
is George coming tonight?
George is not coming in. We
Okay.
can talk about any of those things, or we can table any of those things.
Well, is any of it, well, is the purchase order pressing? I mean, the task order pressing?
It will be revised likely, because if you look at the email thread, there's a lot of conversation about the guardrail. But George is recommending a guardrail
Right.
there,
Yes.
since the barriers have been
Move
removed.
back, yeah, or remove it.
He feels as though there's adequate shoulder to install them.
Mhm.
So that information needs to get relayed to Aaron, which may impact the task order. Also, the task order includes storm drainage, which has been otherwise addressed.
All right, so we'll hold off on this then, till George is coming
Yes,
and
but
revise it?
just, yes, the other thing is that there's what
I haven't
appears to
seen
be
it. Did
a
we
discretionary decision about whether or not we are going to, the guardrail that George had quoted doesn't meet the state's safety specifications.
Yeah, the code should be installed.
However, most of what we have around town, and even the state installs, there are plenty of other guardrails. So there's that conversation about, cost versus what kind of handrail.
Okay.
Guardrail,
Guardrail,
yeah.
Okay. So is George coming in next week?
No, he's on vacation, so,
So this needs to get taken care of then tonight?
no, I don't believe you can, because it's gonna be of a different scope. The scope's gonna change.
We'll put it
So-
back in the folder there now?
Yes, please do put it back in the folder, and then the question is, do you want to talk to Aaron? And have Aaron come to the, Aaron LaChance of Quail Tanner,
Why don't you have him come in on Monday, next Monday night?
when your meeting starts at 7?
Yeah.
Is that, you want to
At
take
the
that next
library.
week?
I mean,
Yeah, at the
You need to
library,
get it-
okay,
You need to get it resolved, so,
okay.
Can we have a copy of that sent to us so we can read it?
It is in your email.
yeah.
When did-
Just today, right?
Yeah, it
Just
was
today?
earlier
Oh,
today,
okay,
it only
okay.
just came in.
So
Thank you.
what's wrong with the drainage on Cricket Lane?
So this is a situation that George and, that the road agent and the fire chief both separately brought to your attention, that the people that live at the end of the cul-de-sac are downhill from the road, and the cul-de-sac itself is downhill from the rest of the road.
Right.
So they're receiving a lot of storm water drainage along the road and into their driveway, and it flooded their property in the winter because of the nature of how winter has changed, because you've got frozen snowbanks that aren't melting, and then you get rain, and the rain has nowhere to go because the
Right.
snowbanks are in the way.
Yeah.
So George and I went out and looked at it after the residents came into the last stormwater committee meeting, feeling as though that might be the appropriate group to talk to. So I took down their information and let them know that it would be this board that would make a decision about what, if anything, to do about it.
Mhm.
The cul-de-sac abuts water sewer district property.
Okay.
There is clearly what used to be a road or right-of-way into that property, and now people are dumping their leaves in that property, in the road right-of-way and beyond the road right-of-way, as well as within the cul-de-sac. So clearly residents of the area, there's no way to know which house exactly, but,
Right.
so somewhere down there. So when George comes back, he'll have some recommendations. There's some mild ditching work that could happen, maybe a Cape Cod style curb, maybe some signs about dumping your leaves, because
Dumping on
that's
property
not
that's not
allowed
yours?
by, for stormwater regulations that we have not enacted as
Okay.
well, so.
So we'll table
That's
it
the
until George
nature,
comes in?
yes, but that's the nature of the situation.
And computer purchase, we're gonna,
He's happy to table that as well. until
perfect,
after.
well, we're gonna table everything under highway.
And if you'd like, we can address welfare and non-public at the end of the
We'll
meeting.
do that at the
So-
end of the meeting unless there's any objections around to make people leaving it. Okey-dokey. Town Administration Space Needs Committee, so the email went out?
Well,
Or a letter, rather?
I sent the email to the person who sends the email out.
Right.
So it has been, people will be aware of it
Okay,
soon.
perfect.
And I'm still awaiting I sent a follow-up email to the consulting firm about a contract.
We still haven't heard from them.
No, she said that summer would be difficult, and,
Sure.
later in July, August, September, she could get the work done. So, the contract, I sent a follow-up to say that if we can do anything about getting the data for her, because that's really what starts the process, then,
What,
But if they can't give us a contract, I mean, seriously.
Agreed, so I'm trying to find a way to, you know, the nature of my email is to say, how can we expedite this and get some information so you all can make a decision and get moving
The
on it.
first company that we decided to go with this other one because we like the scope of services slightly better. The first company, maybe we can review their proposal again then? And clearly this isn't getting done, so
I can ask them for a contract with a scope.
we want to give someone money to provide a service for us, but they don't want to give us a contract, so.
Yeah, we have that elsewhere
Clearly
on the
that's an
agenda
issue,
as
I would
well.
imagine. I would imagine there may be an issue with their output as well. That they can't bother to get us a contract.
Possibly, just, it would be for the board to create the questions or determine what the questions are with the scope of the other firm. They're really relying on you to ask the specific questions that they can answer. I think some of what the second firm could potentially deliver are outside the capability of the first firm, which is not to say that you don't make a completely valid point, because you do. But you're, you know, that decision would limit the scope of the deliverable, is all. So I will ask for a contract from the first firm so that you can evaluate that and see the terms of how they operate, and then we can go from there. But if you would think about questions
Can we think
about the
that
scope.
next week?
I mean, a contract is just telling us of the services that they're going to provide for us. And
Yes.
if they can't give us that, I mean, if they can say in their contract that they are not available until September, October, then put it in the contract. But
Right.
not to give us a contract that we've been waiting for a month now doesn't seem like they're very reliable.
I agree.
But, I mean, and they're a lot more money than the first firm. So, I mean, maybe if you could express that concern,
I will.
because we're not looking to have it done in a week or a month, you know.
But we would like to book it.
Yep, right. The longer we wait, the longer we're gonna be out.
Exactly.
Agreed, okay,
Okay.
I will review
Miles,
that.
anything to add, or?
No.
All right, then we'll move on. All right, shared facilities director? I heard you say that earlier in the meeting, they're coming in tomorrow, right?
Yes, so we'll see how that goes. Mr. Fortier plans to spend the day here. We'll see what he can assess with the help of Mr. Clark, who will separately bring what he has learned about the recent assessment of Dover City Hall, which would be assessed in a similar manner as a historic municipal building,
All right.
just to have points to try to respond to. So I'm not sure when we'll have some kind of
Okay.
result of that.
So, I don't know how much input you're gonna have with the two of them, but if it can be like put up and say, all right, this is your most important project, and then, you know, let's do things in stages, versus, you know, this is what you have to do, let's say, like, this needs done, but it's not as critical as this part of it.
Yes.
So maybe year one, maybe year two, maybe, you know,
I think that's the ultimate goal, but I don't know how much, how close to that we're gonna get in this first round. What's clear is that it will be incomplete,
mm-hmm,
and there will be steps to follow after that, such as we will be directed to not even necessarily abate asbestos if we have it, but to fund an asbestos evaluation and what that costs. So we're gonna have, I think, different paths to follow to get more answers that will then,
become the bigger projects.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. I just
But
don't
yes,
know what,
point taken,
what
you know.
stages, you know, that we have to do before that, and I say, if we can do a little bit at a time, because the place isn't falling down, I mean, we can just, and try to improve it as much as possible, but a little at a time.
Agreed.
So we'll wait to hear the report for next week, hopefully,
Well,
or some update next week.
some update next week, yes,
To come in
we'll
tomorrow.
see what that is. To that end, the board was once, a few weeks ago, evaluating a purchase order for, not yet a purchase order, but whether or not to replace the town hall boiler
Boiler,
and which
yeah.
model to go with. And so I was wondering if you all have thought further about that, have a decision, would like a purchase order to evaluate next week? Or if you're not in that same mindset anymore.
I mean, they say it could be another year or plus, or, yeah, and it could be tomorrow. Let's be honest with it. I mean,
Well, I
nobody
mean, the
really.
life of the boiler, I thought
Life
you
of the
meant how much
boiler,
longer
yes.
you might be in this building.
We have it already approved in the budget.
Mhm.
It's coming out of CIP, correct?
Yes.
All of it?
Yeah, no, 5,000 is from taxation, 20
And
is
the
from
rest of
the
it's coming
CIP.
out of the CIP. It's already been approved. I think we should just go for it.
Warrant article was approved at town meeting, so.
Okay,
Why
so,
I mean, I would love to get a report from the shared facilities director that says, close the door, this place is falling down, don't put any more money into it. I don't think that's gonna happen. So, that's actually, I don't wanna see that report, but I would like,
You want more information before we decide?
but no, I think I agree with Denise, like, let's get a PO and we have
Because
the
you're gonna get one on
approval.
order, you know,
Yeah,
we'd like
I'm
to
sure
get it
this
in for winter months,
It's-
you know,
it's
something
not
that we have to
something
rush,
that's,
but we can delay it a little bit depending on the first assessment.
And the two choices were Vidaris and what was the other company?
well, I will fill it out to the extent that I can, and then you can choose the model. You can choose to go ahead.
Honestly, someone who knows more than I do about boilers.
Well, and I can, actually, that's a good point. I can ask the two gentlemen tomorrow whether they have a recommendation for one or the other.
Yeah, because I mean, I know.
Then we can discuss it more next week. Eversource proposal, have they actually gotten back to us yet?
No,
On the table. Nothing else to say, besides I can't believe that another company we want to give our money to, just want to get back to us. Employee time clock software, was an email I saw,
Me.
you, Denise, okay, I'm trying to think.
I'm just trying to
Denise,
search
Caroline.
for something that will be a little efficient, that can be done on a computer, and that people walk in, to clock in, clock out. So we have a record of employees' time. It can be utilized, well, I would say it can be utilized by anybody in the town office and police. I think fire's exempt from it because they just don't, they
Not
come
hourly
when, they're not
employees.
gonna take the time to clock in
Right.
before they get on a fire truck. Highway, transfer station, I don't know. I just think it's something that we have to do. I don't know if you guys got what I got from the town clerk.
Yes.
Totally unacceptable.
But the difference is the town clerk is not an employee, so.
She gets paid.
she does
She
not
does.
currently,
She's looking for extra money that goes beyond her day of time.
I understand that, but she's not, I'm not suggesting we want to do that, but she's not a town employee, so she would be actually required to clock in and out, so.
Seriously?
She's an elected official, we don't have any.
Okay, then don't send me extra hours then.
Oh, I didn't send it,
It's like,
and
no,
I'm
no, I'm
not
just
in favor of
saying,
it either, I'm
If I,
just
if you
saying,
can't
but we
prove
don't
that
have,
someone's been in this
we
building for
don't
that
have
a long
the-
time, how am I gonna
we don't have
justify
the
it?
statutory authority or position, so.
Well,
we're on
she's not the
top of
only
it, so.
employee in the office.
That is true, that is
So
true.
there's hourly employees in this building.
Yep.
It was a free software.
Mhm. It's free for X amount of employees,
Yep.
right? And then if it was over 10, was it, I thought the email said? No, over
Thought-
3 or 4.
No,
I
I thought it was
thought-
higher than that.
well, I didn't see what the threshold was for free, but I thought we would be in the second threshold for how many employees.
Yeah.
we
Based on
have.
highway and police as well.
So it
Yeah.
depends on which employees, which we probably ought to specify in the personnel policy, would be subject to doing this.
Okay. All
And
right.
determine that, and make sure that each of those employees has access, like transfer station.
May
would
not.
have,
I
That's
would- I
true.
couldn't imagine, because we wouldn't have a time clock, it's when you log onto your computer and they don't have.
So they have access to
Good
the
point.
highway department, but I don't know if they have logging capability or that we would want to give them logging capability to a computer there.
Okay, so then that's, it would really be maybe police. I think either that or we need to design a form that everyone uses so it's clear and, you know, understanding what they're getting paid, their time ins, their times out. You know, I think that, something that I've seen, I mean,
The paper forms are not serving us well at the moment.
no,
So,
no.
What I don't remember seeing on there was the cost.
They were, yeah, different costs. for
There are
different
different
levels.
I don't know
Versus
what-
different levels,
what
yeah.
$35 a month
I've seen, I don't know if it was the one that Denise found that was $2 per employee per month. Like, those are the ones that I typically find, or that they're like a dollar amount per employee per
Right.
month. The other thing is that there may be something through the payroll company. There's definitely something that is an add-on that we can get with the financial software. So now that we have a bookkeeper and he's learning things quickly and doing a great job, we are evaluating whether or not we want to plan to do payroll differently. It may be beneficial for him to do payroll using the financial software, or maybe we ought to shop around and find a different payroll company. So we're evaluating that. It may be something that could play well with whatever the new software is, so that, because that would be even better if there's no paper trail and people can sign in and it kind of creates the timesheet that somebody can click to approve, and we can eliminate some paper or something like that.
You're working on it on your end as well,
So,
so.
While we can certainly do what you're
Overlap.
suggesting, I don't want to create a new process that may,
Wait. I mean, seriously, it can wait, it's just, let's keep it in our minds.
Yes,
We need to be more
absolutely.
efficient, and it possibly help you in other areas, for your record keeping in the office. I mean, it's just more about keeping accurate records and making sure that people are held accountable.
we just need to identify which
Yeah.
employees, so that we can, when you all revise the personnel policy,
Yep.
can specify which employees are subject to that, and
Right.
make sure that they all have access to how they're gonna be able to do that.
Yep, yep.
But I think it's a good idea. I'm just gonna point out another deficiency with the system that we have, is that employees do not have a record of how much available paid time off they have on their checks. So that is another reason why we want to look at how we can do things differently. It would be an additional cost to do that through the payroll company. But maybe if we can do it in-house, it just happens.
I'll give you the company's name that we use at work.
Yeah.
It has all of that.
It would be nice to get
Yeah.
quotes about, for how
Yeah,
to do things
I'll send
differently.
it to
Thank
you.
you.
Yep.
Anything else to say about this? Alrighty, cutting trees in the park. We talked about this briefly when we had community input time. There are a number of trees that the engineering firm that's working for Green Mountain Power, that's handling the reauthorization of our FERC license to operate hydroelectric dam in this town, need to take down, so they can make the needed repairs to the dam, so they're in compliance, and for ongoing maintenance issues. We can discuss it more if you'd like to, or if you recall the conversation we've already had. We can have a motion to grant, Green Mountain Power, they're the ones actually doing the work.
It's the engineering firm. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Did the conservation committee get notified?
They have been notified. They expressed their concern. I believe you were copied in the email that said, essentially what Mr. Lowry said, that if there's any discretion, they certainly value the trees, but understand and are not considering all the other factors that you all have to consider.
Did that come today as well?
Just a
No.
couple days ago.
And the garden committee, I notified the Rollinsford Community Garden Club, because they've been active in trying to plant trees around town, and I didn't know if any of the trees there would have been their trees.
Planted, right.
So likewise, they chimed in to say that nobody's happy about it, but they, and if there's any discretion, they would certainly like for trees to stay that can stay.
So why don't we have a motion to grant Green Mountain Power authority to cut down those trees? And then you can follow up Caroline to see if there's any discretion we can save that one beech tree.
I'll make that motion to authorize Green Mountain Power to cut the trees that are marked in Bicentennial Park.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. And you'll follow up with that notice to see if we can.
Yes, I will, to find out what the rules actually are, yes.
Stormwater
That's
Yeah.
public hearing, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Public hearing, that's okay.
So the date that the board went with does not work for too many critical people. So we need to go back to the drawing board, and the dates that really do work are July 30th, 31st, or August 7th. Those are all a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. Hmm?
I'm on vacation in 1 week,
For that whole time?
that 1 week. It's not 1 week, right?
The 30th and 31st is of 1 week, the 7th is the following week.
Oh, the 7th, that would be okay.
That would be okay?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the only day because
We have it there.
That's August.
The August 7th, that would be Wednesday, yes.
We have a public hearing date. Excuse me.
And is 6:30, are we good with 6:30?
That's
Sure.
fine, yep.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Lockbox. We've heard from the chief about the camera angle. What are folks thinking about the lockbox idea?
I don't, that one's not gonna work for this purpose.
If you have a butter knife, you can pop that one over, I think.
I think if they put a slot through the door with a box on the inside, that would probably work. I don't know what that costs.
It's a metal door, right, so.
Metal door?
Aren't they metal doors?
I believe they're
The
metal
fire
doors.
so.
The fire chief indicated that he would send me a link to a box that he would recommend as secure. We can find out how much that costs, whether or not it's feasible to install it in a secure location, and perhaps budget for it, depending on how much money it is. I would anticipate that it's heftier, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a couple $100 maybe, I don't know.
Well, we've already taken the position once before that we weren't in favor of doing this, right? How long ago was that, did we say? I don't
It
remember.
was last year.
All right, so there's a new board now, so it makes sense to talk about it again.
So I'm assuming that there has been requests from the public that it would be great if there's a place to do that.
No. Nobody said that, did they?
I believe that the tax collector indicated that they get requests now and then, or not requests, but sort of lamentations that there is not another way to drop things off when this place is closed. I've never heard that myself, you know, I make arrangements with people otherwise. However, there is a convenience factor for people to be able to drop things off. So while we don't hear it, that doesn't mean that there isn't.
Right. I mean, I think if we can get some prices on a secure box, I'd be willing to entertain it.
So we'll discuss it for another evening. We will table it until we find out more about pricing. Recreation, yes, recreation, space. So tell, Denise, you're on. Tell us about the ongoing issues with recreation.
Well, we didn't get the space, well, we got half a hallway.
Or is this stuff that does it, I mean, this is what we've already talked about, right? So
Right, so that we, yeah, so nothing's changed.
I wasn't
So-
sure if we had to talk about it again or if we just didn't get to it last week, so.
No, I thought maybe they'd all come to the census, but they didn't.
So, someone from the National Guard reached out to me for welfare purposes to just tell me about things that they offer for
Oh,
families in
okay.
the area, just so that I
Alright.
would be aware.
Right.
I expressed that apparently, Salma had said when she worked in Hampton that the National Guard came in and erected tents for their school for some purpose. So I asked the woman if she could look into that, and I'm meeting with her,
Okay.
I think next week.
Good.
But she's gonna get back to me about who a contact might be to see if they could be involved in erecting tents
This would be for August, right? That's the.
in
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Hiring staff?
Yeah, we have hired 2 of them tonight.
All right, let's do it. Present them and we'll.
Okay, we have Olivia Watson. She is going to be a camp counselor. for a rate of $10 an hour and effective immediately or as soon as we sign it.
Okay, and are there any objection to hiring Ms. Watson?
No.
All right. Let's sign it somewhere.
Unsincerely, yeah, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You afraid I'm gonna sign in the wrong place?
Well, I thought you might sign the employee signature.
I understand. Look at it twice.
And then we have Luke Anderson, and he is a returning camp counselor, and he will be paid at a rate of $10.25 an hour, also for Camp Bravo.
All right, any objection to hiring Mr. Anderson?
No
Nope.
objection.
Thank you for coming
Have they
back.
come to see you yet with their paperwork?
I still need follow-up paperwork for, one of them has incomplete paperwork, Watson.
Okay.
The rec director is aware of it, she's supposed to be coming back to me, the counselor, with that information. I don't have it as of yet, so.
Okay. Celia, are you going there tomorrow?
I will be.
Do you want her to take these so she can so they need to sign these?
Or I can ask the director this evening to send them an email to have them stop by here before they go to work.
When does that start though? Because this place isn't open until 9, so not that we
So-
can't open early if I know when they're coming.
I think we probably have enough staff to cover pre-care and that they would start at 9. So they
Okay.
could come, they could come here first and then go to camp. And
Okay.
I can help out until need be.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll leave this in the folders and we'll tell them to
You don't need,
have them come in. You're gonna take care of notifying?
I will notify the director who
Okay,
has
thank you.
contact information for them.
Thank you. Okay.
okay, all right. Walking camper, we've already handled that, right? I mean, I would advise the rec committee that it seems reasonable to me that if the parents of certain age children think it's appropriate for the kids to walk home at the end of the camp, then they're the parents and they can make that decision. So, the reason we had to enact the policy before was it was the Wild West. And you had to have kids coming and going, and before camp had been sort of redesigned several years ago now. So, and that's just, as our representative, I would say, that's my humble opinion, so.
I think that the committee, the recreation committee is trying to protect all children who are under their care from this time to this time.
Right.
If the parents wish for that to happen, they should come to us, but it should be stating that there is no walkers until someone comes.
Right, yeah,
That
no,
one
I
person.
think that's a rational policy. I mean, the parents just had to sign the permission slip and then I don't think they had to come here, that's my point.
We are the authorization board, not the rep.
No, I understand that, but if the select board authorizes the policy.
The policy can outline that perhaps the rec director can allow parents to sign the waiver form with them rather than with the select board.
And
So it's
they
all
just
how you
told us
write
that
the
Parents don't have
policy.
to come here to, or they can be
I'm not
retained here, that's
comfortable
fine.
with that, sorry.
Well,
I mean,
you guys are gonna work it out, so, I mean, I'm just one person, so. I mean, we're not gonna decide it tonight, the rec committee's gonna come up with a proposal, and I'm just giving my 2 cents.
we have very new staff, for one, who are not residents of Rollinsford. And we just want to make sure that everything is safe this year. And next year we'll bring it back up. At this point, they'll have to come.
Oh, yeah, the policy is the policy this year. Do what we have to do. If they sign it with, and give it to the rec committee can just bring it here and let's have it.
Well, the ex officio can sign it, if you don't want to have it go to the board, publicly, or the ex officio
I
can
don't
sign
think the
it.
parents have to come into a select board meeting to have us approve their decision as a parent whether or not they think they take it a block or two to home. That's, I mean, last year, this year maybe it's further, I mean, last year we had, the year before last, we literally had someone across the street. I could see someone right from their driveway, so, you know, we had to make them come in here and get a form filled out, seemed ludicrous to me, but, you know, I get it, we wanna protect the kids and the town's liability. The Parents sign the permission slip, that should be enough to me. You guys are gonna figure it out, so. And I trust that you will. Anything else you wanna talk about on that? Sorry, I don't wanna. Building permit schedule of fees, is there any update? Did Mr. Clark forward his suggested,
No, so, no, there's no,
the fees themselves aren't changing, it's just how we arrange them.
correct.
So, I will wait for his email. And do we know, building inspector fell off here, but while we're talking about it, did he reach out to,
He has an appointment with
Castelli?
Mr. Casanelli tomorrow to
Okay.
review the conditions of approval
Mhm.
of his annual junkyard license.
Mhm.
There's still no planning application received, but he's working on those items. We'll get a report back for what the state of conditions are, and then I would anticipate that Mr. Clark's gonna send him a letter to inform him of what any deficiencies are. In the meantime, he's reaching out to legal counsel at the Municipal Association about,
Mr. Clark.
yes, about, a junkyard ordinance, and what parts of this might be better served in the junkyard ordinance rather than in the license, and what are the ramifications with whatever course of action the board takes. So,
Okey-dokey.
he's in process.
All right. Anything else anyone wants to say about it? All righty. Policy review. How are we coming along with the,
It has been a busy week,
Select
and
board
there's no update on the policy that you have previously reviewed, except that I am still working on it, but in the meantime,
we added another one.
I did, just that it's just a template, it comes from
Uh-huh.
another community,
Right.
and it is a city that has, more staff. So it's just, again, I give it to you for your reading so that you can, think about what we might wanna consider, or, how you may or may not wanna regulate social media with regard to the town. It doesn't mean that the scope is quite right, but it's really quite extensive, but I present it again just so that you can be thinking more comprehensively before we narrow it down to what's more appropriate for Rollinsford. So, looking for general feedback about it, you can go home and, I wasn't necessarily looking for a discussion on it since I emailed it today and you haven't had a chance to look at it, but you
So
have.
we're just talking about police, highway, and fire, right? Those are the three,
They're official, like Facebook page.
Well, and recreation,
Right.
and rec, all right. What about library?
they have one, although we cannot regulate them. The trustees would regulate their use of social media, but they do have one.
So, okay, so the library board of trustees has a policy already?
I don't know that they do or they don't. I know that they have a Facebook page.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, maybe-
And I don't know
Maybe
honestly.
they could forward their policy, so we could
Well,
steal that.
and I don't know if it's the library itself that has a Facebook page or if it's the Friends group that has a
Oh,
page.
that would be separate.
Because that
They
would be
wouldn't have
completely
anything- They
separate.
wouldn't have anything to say about that, so.
Okay, so, because I don't do social media very much, is the police and fire and highway not benevolent association, firemen's association? They're,
They don't say that, and they are, at least two of them, they're all monitored and, used by town personnel. So, but they don't say it's the Police Benevolent Association, the police has a Rollinsford Police Department
Facebook.
Facebook page,
And
so.
the benevolent association as well?
I don't know if they do or not, that we couldn't try to regulate because
But yeah,
they're
if they
their
have
own
one, they would be on their
entity.
own.
Okay,
So,
and the highway, they have a
They have one.
Facebook, and it's the official highway, Rollinsford Highway.
Rollinsford
Department.
Highway Department, Rollinsford Fire Department.
So those would be official means of communication from the town. Although I wouldn't necessarily say that the select board authorized or set them up.
And I think that's
But
part of the,
part of the problem.
part of the conversation is just awareness to the department heads and to the employees that there are serious implications with the use of social media and responsibility that goes along with that, that maybe they're not even aware of, even before there's are specific rules around its use.
And to date, there hasn't been an issue with what they've been posting, as far as I know. I mean, it's just, it's more of, this is to be proactive to protect the town and the employees from just in case someone screwed up.
Yes, thank you for
down the
that
line. I mean,
clarification, yes.
I don't want anyone to think that, someone has done something they would notice. There are a number of deficiencies in what we have policies and what we don't have policies for. We tend to be more on, we don't have a policy, than we have a policy on just about everything in this town, so. Which has, yes, served us at one point, but doesn't necessarily serve us well now, because issues have been cropping up on all sorts of things, so. We don't have an issue, a policy on it, and then we wing it, and that's not good for anybody, so. So, do we want to take this and digest it for another evening? We just emailed it today, so.
I mean, this is
It's pretty hefty here, several pages. The city of Lebanon is well served by their guidelines, Paul.
I don't see MySpace as part of a social network.
We can certainly edit that and
Friendster.
it could probably be edited annually to be, added, to have all the
You
sites.
still have your friends for your MySpace account? Oh, yeah, no, so, we don't have any departments that have like a Twitter account, it's all Facebook, right?
That's a really
That
good
we know of,
question.
right?
There was once upon a time an official town Twitter account, but that's,
Gone by the wayside.
well, it's certainly not currently used, but it exists out there in the nether world somewhere. So not to my
Right.
knowledge, but I'm not on those other platforms, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we can review it and start thinking
Yep.
about it. Is there anything else to say about policy review? You're gonna get us some updates soon?
Yes, I
on that
will.
one? Perfect. Okay, so Town administration, standing items, board member activities. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Last Tuesday or Wednesday night, we had a meeting of the CIP committee. It was really just kind of a level setting. We did elect a chair. Ms. Heward has agreed to be the chair.
Okay.
So she's gonna keep the spreadsheet up to date and keep us on track. And we set up meetings,
3 meetings.
to do department heads, all in the next month and a half.
Good to start everyone.
Yep. So we got a good start on that. That's it.
Denise, anything,
No,
okay.
pretty quiet results.
Historic Committee wants to meet this week on Thursday, and I have to work that night, actually. We have an event at my office that I have to be at. But they did send a number of questions regarding Bicentennial Park. The road agent isn't here this evening to answer, so maybe we can pass it on. Did we usually see it on an email? I don't remember.
No, but I have, I had an interesting conversation with Mr. Charpentier.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that the park, the grassy area along Front Street at the corner of Scotland Road, but right along Front Street,
Yeah,
is not Bicentennial Park.
that's not bad.
Bicentennial Park is just a boat launch. I thought the whole area was Bicentennial Park. So that front part
We're just generically calling it boat.
does not have a name.
Correct.
Yes, so that was causing confusion because,
Sorry, to cause confusion.
no, it's
So
okay, I
the-
just learned something.
The road agent had proposed, because the flagpoles were damaged,
Right,
that were down by the boat launch, I proposed moving them, the large boulders that they sit in, to the front, along with the large boulder as a plaque, proclaiming the Bicentennial Park to the front. And the historic committee wanted to know if he still planned on doing that. I think this board has actually approved that, or not, I don't recall, believe it or not, but, and.
It's already done, it's not already done?
He took the flagpole, the broken flagpoles out.
Oh.
They
and
had
he took the
to put-
plaques off.
Oh, okay.
So they wouldn't be,
Yeah.
taken. Also, the light poles down there, he was going to check the box, check the key or the electrical box there in the bushes, and see if something had been tripped before we asked public service or whoever, Eversource to come over and take a look. Actually, they're not Eversources, I don't believe they're the towns. They're not the large regular light poles.
I believe, so we pay an electric bill for them.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we would be the one to necessarily replace a light bulb or repair a fixture if it went bad. Though that doesn't mean we're not,
Right.
it just
We
doesn't.
should look into it.
Yes.
But if George, I know, is busy with Sligo Road this week, but when he gets back after his vacation, he could,
Yes, I'll ask him
we
about
can
that.
get into that box one way or another and see if breaker's been tripped.
Yes.
I hope it's as simple as that. It hasn't been on for a while, so. And I think that's it that they wanted to know about. What else? Town administrator update.
It's been a really busy week. The bookkeeper's doing a fabulous job getting up to speed and taking on more duties, and yet it's been intense to try to train him and do other things at the same time. You know that there was a lot of welfare activity also
Talk about that.
this past week, so between the two of those, it's been really busy. I got a call from, not a call, an email from Mr. Storr in Dover regarding the light at the intersection of Oak Street and Rollins Road, inquiring about whether or not the town has ever maintained it, which we don't believe we ever have.
We laughed at him when he asked, right?
But the box, the control box for it, you know, is in Rollinsford.
Right.
So, they're not at a point in time where they're willing to, he was just gathering information, not necessarily a change in procedure or anything else, but just noting that it is in Rollinsford and Dover's paying for its
I
maintenance.
thought he
So-
conceded that
They had been doing it all
they
along.
had been doing it, that it was agreed, there was an agreement.
Years ago.
They
I saw
were,
the email.
yeah.
Yes, yes, he found that in his information search during our email exchange, trying to figure out who had maintenance records. But it does make sense, given that we have no other streetlights,
And we don't
traffic
maintain
lights in
one
town.
on Portland and.
Right, those are all state maintained, so we really don't have any traffic lights in Rollinsford, which, so in any case, I'm grateful, they're gonna continue to maintain it for now, and there's no news, but, there was a bit of a go-around about that.
You know,
What's-
he had a question about, does our personnel put it on flashing?
Yes,
And they have, or someone's putting it on flashing in bad weather and stuff. I don't know if it's our personnel. Did you check with the police and?
so I sent an email out to the 3 department heads. It is not fire or highway. I did not get a response from the police, so I'll
Okay.
follow up on that because it may be,
I mean, in the winter, it's so slippery going down that hill.
so thank you for
Someone
that
is,
reminder, yeah. I'll touch base with them. Wednesday afternoon last week, I went to the Stormwater Coalition meeting in Dover, which was really informative. Paul was there. I'm very grateful that he's so very dedicated to the topic. The state was there. It was a nice recap of where we are in process for the year with stormwater. The coalition is trying to get everybody's on such completely different pages or stages of their, with their permit requirements. But it really caused me to think that because Rollinsford is so small with the number of outfalls that we have, that when we get to subsequent years and our testing and reporting requirements become more intense, that maybe there's an opportunity to try to share some of our, outsource some of our duties to a bigger community who's doing it on a much larger scale. So,
Partner with them.
yeah, I'm just hoping something like that could work out. I haven't talked to anybody about that, but they kind of made light of the fact that Paul, being so comprehensive and detail-oriented, is very concerned with our 6 outfalls, and Dover has dozens and dozens and dozens of,
Right.
and of course, $150,000 stormwater budget to match,
Right.
you know, but it's still really put into perspective that maybe we can fit into somebody else's bigger equation that way with some of our requirements.
AFP,
that
one
we-
of the larger communities that are doing it, maybe, that sort of thing.
That's what I'm hoping for, a conversation later as we
Right.
get deeper into this, because every year our requirements get
Sure.
more cumulative and intense and technical and
Right.
such. The only other thing is, the Recreation Committee posted a meeting for Wednesday, and Denise, I think you said that you were not available on Wednesday, and so I thought I would attend that this week to make sure they've got their loose ends tied up
What
for
Wednesday?
day after tomorrow. They just posted a meeting for the day after tomorrow.
It's the same night as water and sewer. And
Oh,
you said you were going to water.
I wanted to go
and
to water and sewer.
So I thought I would fill in for you for recreation, if you want, and then we can regroup on Thursday about whatever might have happened, but,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that they have what they need,
Mhm.
since I'm sure there's things floating around being the first day of camp, first week of camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that I have.
That's it, all right, a review of correspondence. We have already taken care of the 2 pieces of paper to hire. We're putting the work order on hold. We have received some correspondence from the Water and Sewer District.
That went out to everybody in the
All the
district
customers?
about the water quality.
Oh, okay, so that's all this is.
Yes, no violations.
Have you, you've already reviewed it then?
Only as far as to see that there are no violations, but not any.
Well, if 2 folks want to take a look at it, you
I
can,
got it.
you got your request,
I'm
you want to take a look at it?
Okay.
So, that's all we probably need to say about that then.
That is a letter that already went out, but to
It went
the,
to the incorrect owner.
yes.
All right, so this is a review of the project
building
someone's
permit,
working on. So
yes.
this, it's a letter going to,
Silver Street.
575 Silver Street regarding an excavation/construction project that they are doing without a building permit. Just- All right. We have 2 requests for disbursement. 2 colleagues would like to get paid, so if there's any objection from either of you that want to get paid, I'm going to send them.
No objection.
Didn't think so. Thank you for your service. Next is from the Department of Revenue Administration from the state. Dear Selectmen, pursuant to RSA 21J:11, the contract has been submitted to us for our review and recommendations. The contract for the 2017 appeal of Public Service of New Hampshire's assessment has been reviewed and we're making no recommendations. The DRA's general recommendation is that all municipalities use the Department of Revenue sample contracts for assessment activities as they adequately describe and define in sufficient detail the entire evaluation process. Sample of various contracts can be found on our website. Once the contract has been signed, please forward a copy to our office. Please keep in mind the department does not warrant your contracts against any errors or omissions. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me and the appendix. So, is this something that is being handled by Avatar on our behalf, or?
I don't, yes, Avatar and I together, it's, it's more of a point of information.
Alright.
They have to send out that indeed they received the contract.
Okay, any questions from the rest of the board or comments? All right, then we have a letter via certified mail from Kleinschmidt in regards to the hydroelectric permit application. Dear Sir or Madam, this letter is to inform you that a wetlands permit application will be submitted to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Wetland Bureau for a wetlands permit by notification for proposed spillway crest repair work at the Rollinsford Dam located on the Salmon Falls River in the town of Rollinsford. Under state law, RSA 482A:3, subsection Roman I, subsection D:1, be a certified planner. I am required to notify you about this wetland permit application which proposes work abutting your property. Once the permit application is submitted to DES, a copy of the permit application, including the plans associated with the project, will be available for your review at the town clerk's office. A copy of the permits also, including the plans, will be on review at DES headquarters in Concord. From Katie Sellers at Klein Schmidt Associates. So this is basically the work we've been talking about at the dam. We just
So-
approved the tree removal.
Note that you're getting the notice, not because it's your property, but because it abuts your property. So the other thing that it doesn't really explicitly say is that water is going to be diverted in order for this to take place. And so it's not really clear what's going to be visible, what's the impact to traffic, if any, or to Scotland Road getting shut down, or, you know, any of those things.
Follow up with
So-
Ms., whatever her name was, Ms. Sellers from Klein Schmidt?
Yes, although I would think that she would know enough to, you know, notify us if she's shutting down our,
He can leave his driveway and anyone else who has to go down there.
right, but,
So this, in, above and beyond the tree cutting, repairs
So-
to the dam.
what it's really telling you there is that there are boards that should go on top of the dam, and they've broken over time, and as part of the renewal, they're replacing the boards on top of the dam. But to do that, you have to get the water down to a level low enough that you can do the work necessary. So, it's not clear, you know, when I spoke with her over the phone, when she called for the abutters list, she did say that they would be diverting water, but she didn't get into any detail about what that would look like and how long this is gonna take, and any other impacts that we might wanna alert our residents to. So
Follow up with her.
I will follow up with her and find out what's going on with that.
Didn't they divert it once before in Milton area, or?
I'm sure they have to divert it all the time for any kind of mill repair here or there, and everybody's always got, you know, one or another going on, you know, in the state somewhere. Yes, they divert water, you know, it's just not clear to me, you know, are they just really, is this all happening along the river on the north side of Front Street so that nobody would never, ever necessarily notice? Or is this something that's, since they're notifying abutters even across streets, that there is a potential impact in some other way? I just want to be sure that if there's something that we need to alert the residents of, that we know what that is, so that we can do that.
We don't have any report from the building inspector in there, so.
No.
Anything else before we open up back to community input? All right, we're back to community input, yes, sir.
I have a purchase order that needs to come before the board for rec. Next Monday, the teen campers are going to Blitz Air Park. And I'm hoping that by authorizing this purchase order, I can work with Caroline to reserve it online. They have a credit card option.
Is there a discount? Oh, let's move it first and we can talk about it.
Okay, so purchase order 1643, Blitz Air Park, 2 hours of jump, oh, I can't read your writing,
2-hour jump passes.
jump
And jump socks, that was it.
And then
Blitz Airport. At $27 for a total of $270, and 10 jump socks as needed for each jumper. Huh? Okay,
Some
well, they went-
jumpers-
at
I was-
three-
hold on.
at
She's
$3
moving
an
it.
hour for $30, with a total estimate of $300.
A
Hang
second.
on a second, now let's talk about it. So this includes the actual hours that you're gonna be at the park, and the kids that go, they have to wear special socks. I only know this because my child came home with some. They have a
So we have to
stretch on
buy
the park.
them?
Yeah.
So
It's,
Was that part of their fee that they paid?
yeah,
Yes?
they're charged $110 for the week. And that is their big trip for next week. We try and keep our activities between $30 and $50 per child, and this falls right under the $30 mark. And some of the, I say socks per, as needed per jumper, because every jumper needs a pair of socks, and some have gone last year and have their own pairs, so it may not total the $30.
If they bring them with them.
Yes.
It's a popular activity for children of a certain age. You can imagine the advantage of sending your 7 to 8-year-old to this place where they bounce and burn off lots of energy. I certainly know the benefits of it.
It's an indoor warehouse filled with trampolines, and they have a ninja warrior course with things hanging from the wall that you can climb up and bounce down onto nets and
Oh, they have to
come
wear
up.
special socks.
So to prevent falls and slips, they wear special socks.
Any more discussion? All right.
So
Oh, yes.
Celia asked that I reserve that online with my credit card. The
Yes.
policy limits my purchases to $200,
All right.
except in conjunction with another department head, up to $400. So if you would indicate on the purchase order that you are authorizing me to charge this, that would be really great.
I will do that.
And we only have to pay actually the fee, not the socks at this
Right.
time. Okay.
So, I'm not sure, I need to contact them to find out if we have to pay for the socks. They usually pay for the socks there with credit card. I don't know if they accept
If we
check.
need to pay it separately, we can pay it separately.
But if you don't know how many people are going and need them,
We have 9 registered campers that week, and we can, the director for Teen Camp is starting on Wednesday. She was committed for something else. So she can email the families this week and
and if they forget them,
I would hope, I think that's a conversation you ought to have with them about how are they going to build the town, or how are we gonna pay on site for 3 pairs of socks if, you know, somebody didn't calculate correctly or didn't bring them or what have you.
And these are 12 to 15-year-olds, and they usually have money on them for the vending machines and so forth. So if they forget their socks, they may have to
Forego the junk food.
provide their own funds.
All right. Any other questions or comments, discussion?
If you could just let me know when you wanna come in and we do this, so that I'm prepared ahead of time, not on Monday.
Not disagree.
Well, it's for next Monday, so we need to
do
do
it
it
this week.
Yes,
prior to,
good, thank you.
All right.
and we need to reserve it.
Any other discussion on purchase order 1643? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Did you need to know how to spell my name, or you've got it?
Yeah, I was gonna come see you after, just to clarify.
It's, well, Mike's signing away. Celia is the first name, and last name is Leo, P-O-L-D.
L-E-L,
Leo.
L-E-O.
Make sure she knows what she
Oh,
needs
sorry.
for it.
So, you guys were talking about the walkers tonight, because we had a couple come forward. And currently, if anybody puts on their application, whether it be online or on paper, that they're going to walk. We did have a couple who said they were gonna walk. The chairman of our committee, one of them, comes up, gives the family a call and says, we require this, this, and this of you.
Uh-huh.
So we do have an
There is a policy in place.
informal policy, and like.
Informal or written policies?
Currently, it is informal. What our parent handbook says is that somebody must be there to sign them in and out. It does
Okay.
not say they cannot walk.
But if nobody comes and signs them in or out, then they're
Right.
not walking.
Right.
Or if they are, they're walking with their
With
parent.
their parents,
Right,
that's really
so
the point, isn't
does
it?
it-
Right.
So, well, we did have a couple families who indicated they were gonna walk, and after the
Right.
director, or the, not the director, but the chair called them, they were made aware of the need to sign in and out and make their decisions from there.
So the rec committee is gonna work on a written policy, so.
Yes,
have this
that is on
Well,
our
that is in our written policy that they have to be signed in and signed out.
But a written policy regarding whether or not, a protocol to follow about, you just said it wasn't written down, right? About whether or not to
Signing in and
allow,
out it is.
well, allowing
Walking?
walkers to leave on their own.
But then you have to revise your policy that says it has to be signed in and signed out.
It is something that we're going to review at the meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, I'll wait for you. No, I get it, we wanna make sure the kids are safe, that's not the issue.
No, it is the issue, because it's in the policy said they have to be signed in and signed out by the parent.
Right,
So if they sign in and sign out by the parent, then they're not walking unless they're with their parent.
Mhm.
So if they want something different than that, they have to come and talk to somebody of
right, that I
authority.
understand, and I'm okay with that, but I guess maybe I'm misunderstanding. Is there a written policy on what to do with the people that want to allow their kids to walk and sign themselves in and out? It's just not allowed. But
At
they signed
At this
something
point,
that
it
said
wasn't
was
allowed,
okay.
so now we're gonna have to address it.
So we have had.
That's where my confusion was, okay.
It says that they must be signed in and out, however, we do have an occasional child,
Right.
like it happened this morning,
Okay.
that shows up unaccompanied.
Gotcha.
And unofficially, this is not written, it's our policy to call the parent and say, your child showed up unattended.
Right.
We need to have you sign them in and out.
Gotcha, okay. So you're handling it now, you want to perhaps potentially, not necessarily you are, but potentially revise that policy, and you're gonna bring it to this board to review, and we'll say whether or not we think it's a good idea. Am I on the right page now?
That
Am I getting it now?
sounds like
Or no?
we're moving forward with, yes.
Okay. You don't have to do that, I just want, hold on, just say, okay.
Because it's conflicting for the teens that
I
are
got you.
walking of that age versus the Camp Raleigh. And
You have anything else for us, Celia?
one question, the Camp Raleigh director asked a few of us on the committee, I don't know if it went to the whole committee or not, about setting up a Facebook page, and you guys talked about social media tonight.
We don't have a policy.
So are they allowed to set up a page, yes or no?
Isn't there, I thought there already was a,
There is a page every year and it just gets, the name changes to whatever the current year is. There's been a Facebook page in the
right,
past.
my kid went to camp last year, and there was a Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Can it just
You
be
just have-
upticketed with the,
And they have to be careful about photographing them and make sure that
Right.
if they're taking pictures and putting it on there, that
It
people
was
have
a-
approved
yeah.
that those
There was a
children-
waiver.
Right, that was-
I know there is,
Right.
and as they're gonna make sure even
Well,
on Facebook
right,
that
yes, make sure
is
that if
highly-
anybody
And it
didn't
was
sign
a
the
closed
waiver.
group,
wasn't it
wasn't
last
it?
year?
It is a closed
Stop.
group, so only the, it's sent,
All right.
invitations are only sent to the
camper,
parents
parent to the camper,
of
that
campers.
makes sense.
So,
That's what I thought.
so I just wanted to check, because you guys were talking about social media and everything else.
Are we good?
Yep, for
I'm
me.
on it.
Just for clarification on what she was just touching on, so as somebody that was just approved to let their kid ride their bike to school, does that mean I need to leave work tomorrow to sign my child in at 9 o'clock?
No,
I don't
because-
think so, I think we
because
gave
you
permission
get
to do
permission
that, I
to
think.
ride or walk.
You got your waiver.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay,
if you didn't get that permission, then you would have to be signing in and out, but
I think, I was confused after what we just talked about too, so, okay.
no,
You're good though.
you're good.
Okay, perfect, all right.
Can I grab your first name?
Sure, Eric, E-R-Y-K.
And I got
Son
your
is
first, your last name at the beginning.
Okay.
Your son is Patrick.
Yes.
I don't know why I called you, I knew you were Eric, I don't know why I called you Patrick. I saw the name when I signed it.
It's the R-Y-K.
I must have had my last.
Yeah, it's R-Y-K, yeah.
All right, any other public input? All right, we are going to now go into non-public, do we have personnel as well, is that what I see?
I do,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so we have a personnel issue,
And then
and then we're
welcome.
gonna go in for welfare, and then we're gonna go home. So you're more than welcome to wait, and then we'll have to come back in and out.
So you gotta take
We're
your
going
camera
home.
down.
Yep, you're all good, thank you so much for filming,
Thank you for
appreciate
coming.
it.
Oh,
Have a
so
good
wait,
night.
so I
Hey,
don't
Eric.
do that?
Nope,
No,
turn it off,
Just turn it
and
off.
we,
and-
Caroline will email you when we came in and out for both of those things.
Yep.
I will give you what you need for tonight, for the end of the meeting, and then,
Okay.
you might wanna call me or email me tomorrow or the next day with, I imagine you have a slew of questions about.
A little bit, yeah, and then I know they always post it too, so I'm gonna rewatch a bit of it.
bit
Just
more.
to make sure.
Yeah, if you need clarification about things, just.
Wow,
Okay.
again, after
I
being
imagine you
through it
might.
all day.
I just looked at it, I don't know what.
I don't
Thank
mind,
you.
my little one sleeps all day, so
Oh,
I
Alrighty.
get some stuff done.
All right,
Good.
well,
Did
thank
you
you
shut
so
us
much.
off?
Yeah. So I want to make sure I got a motion to go with the numbers.
Not yet.